Okay, so we are live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Connect Africa. So this is our second session, talking about the Horn of Africa and particularly Somalia, and beyond in relation to the Horn of Africa. Welcome, dear speakers.
Thank you, Mehlet. Thank you so much. It's an honor for me to be in this forum.
Okay, yeah, welcome, Brother Abdi. You're muted, Abdi.
Thank you very much, Mahalet. It's my pleasure that I have been invited here.
Okay, and welcome, Dr. Samuel, who is no stranger here. Welcome again.
I think we have lost Dr. Samuel.
Okay, I have to add him here. Sorry. Welcome, Dr. Samuel. I was saying welcome.
How are you?
Good. Yeah.
I'll be on and off, and apologies for that in advance. I hope that will only stay until we start generating power from the GERD.
You see, yeah, that's it. We understand. Just stick with us whenever you can, don't just let it to be an obstacle not to join us. Whenever it is, just join us. If you're not here, we understand it's the power. Yeah, so here what we can do is for our viewers, we have also another speaker, Dr. Ali, who hopefully he will join us later as we go by, as we start this. What we do is here, it's a platform, it's a Pan-African platform dedicated to promote Pan-Africanism, but this session particularly is dedicated to the Horn of Africa, to create that awareness and understanding, and to learn by the people of Horn of Africa, not by those international news media houses, BBC or CNN or name it, Reuters. We are here to break that cycle and start to create that awareness, our stories to be told by ourselves, and not just only to create awareness, but also we would like to take it further by having a long-term plan, how we can cooperate, how we can integrate in areas that we can cooperate as a community, as an intellectual, as an activist. So which actually Dr. Samuel later on will share his idea specifically on this. So tonight, again, as I said, it will be specifically dedicated to Somalia and beyond. Our speakers will also talk about Somalia and in its relation to the Horn of Africa. So our first speaker is Sister Shamso Shago. She's a Pan-Africanist, environmentalist, founder of Bado Dagan, which is actually a community tree planting initiative. And in general, she's a social worker, and actually currently also she's running in the forefront as a no more activist for the Horn of Africa. Sister Shamso, welcome again, and the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Mehlet. As I said in the beginning, I am really grateful of this opportunity, of this platform. It gives me hope, as you said, that we are creating our own voice, our own narrative, our own story. This is something that I have longed for a long time. Mm-hmm. And when the No More campaign started, it gave me hope that we can break the cycle. If I go back to you spoke very well about me, and I'm a social worker. I live in Europe, but I have been working in Somalia since 2017, directly with tree planting initiatives that I have had huge. I have had so much joy working with voluntary people in Somalia, youth, raising awareness regarding this phenomenon of climate change, but also what we are seeing in Horn of Africa, especially in Somalia, the last decade of hunger, famine, and so much devastation because of it. And tonight, I would like to focus my speech on what my experiences have been during these 3 years that I have been working in Somalia together with Somali youth in different cities, actually in Somalia. What I have seen, how my perception has changed regarding this aid, the aid that comes to Somalia, and how it has a huge impact on the society. Also, how it can be beneficial to have aid. Of course, it's beneficial if someone needs help. We get help in form of aid coming via NGOs, via UN. But what I have seen during my work in Somalia, working with farms, working with people, raising awareness regarding tree plantation, regarding climate change activism, is that aid, if it's not sustainable, it can actually devastate one country's economical growth, and it can at length contribute to aid dependency. If I go back a little bit and tell what we do, actually, is that we are a community-led initiative, as you told Mehlet. We are independent of aid. We don't seek funding from international community. Our merely focus of economy, people, the diaspora, Somali diaspora, helped us get the economic help that we need so that we can go on the ground, buy trees, and deliver these trees to families. That we have been doing that since 2019. We started in a city called Barawe, where we have been distributing trees to families, and our distribution is systematic because when we distribute trees to the families, we also talk about the necessity and the importance of having trees and not cutting trees for charcoal, for instance. So we are educating a whole family, we are educating a whole community. And the last year, we realized when the COVID started that what we need is to start a small tree planting, tree nurseries. And our tree nursery, we have one nursery in mid-Somalia, a town called Whistle. We have planted almost 500 trees around the area. We are distributing trees to the communities around the area. And also the fact that the tree nursery is working, is functioning, is actually somehow empowerment for the community, because people started as late as today. I was sent pictures from our tree nursery where I was told that people start coming to the nursery, taking pictures. So that's what we need. But also during my work with this kind of environmental issues, I found out that many farmers who used to we have in Lower Shabelle and Lower Juba, that's where almost all our farming is. And most of that area actually are really not safe area because of Al-Shabaab. And also the farmers who try to harvest, they are meeting some problems with the UN aid coming exactly at the same time as when they harvest their product. So people harvesting their product, going to the market, trying to sell it, and maybe 2 days ago, the same product came into the market for free via UN aid. That has been also a contributing factor to many farmers leaving their farms, going to the bigger cities as Mogadishu, living in displaced camps and getting help that way. So What we need is fair chance. We need help. We need aid. That's true. But after 30 years of help, after 30 years of NGOs, what we need is a fair chance. What we need is vocational training. What we need is job creation, youth job creation, so that Somalia can stand on its feet. We can no longer continue to sit outside and wait for someone else to bring us the food. It's not only very bad for the community, it's also hindering the community to be a community that produces, that stands on its own feet, and it gives the it's not empowering our youth to be dependent on foreign aid. So that's I will stop it here. But the main focus that I am gonna have in this platform tonight is the focus of what is international aid, how is international aid helping Somalia, and how it's international aid damaging Somalia, and what are the narratives that are out there regarding Somalia, but also Africa, everywhere in Europe, in the Western communities. You see that there is predictions. Next year is going to be very bad year. Who is predicting that? What is the agenda behind it? Why is Africa not included in the fair trade societies around the world? Why are we not given the chance to produce? We have got the land, we have got the people. Africa has the youngest people generations in all other continents combined. So why are our youth not having the same opportunities of education, the same opportunities of trade, the same opportunities of production as everywhere else in the world? And I think we need to look at the dynamics on the ground. What are the dynamics that are keeping Africa in the dependent way it has been and it is throughout so many years? If we don't look at it with the real worry, and if we don't reflect upon what's going on, I'm afraid that we are going to be the continent that's always hungry, the continent whose children are dying, the continent that don't have food. People, you hear stories about people telling their kids, if you don't eat your dinner tonight, have you seen people in Africa how they live? You have to eat your food, otherwise there are other people dying, other kids dying. But African children are not supposed to die. African children have everything they can have: good fertility land, good land for irrigation, for agriculture. What is it that are making Africa so dependent, so not independent in order to go ahead and compete with the rest of the world? That's what we need to look at it as Horn of Africa, as Africa generally, and see what are the mechanisms that are holding Africa in a dated, not developed way. What are those factors, contributing factors, and how can we change them? Thank you. We cannot hear you, Mehlet.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Sister Shamso. I would like to applaud you really for making it tonight. By the way, she's not feeling that well, but still she know how important this is, and she was looking forward to it. So she's here with us, and that's why actually I made you the first speaker, just in case, if you feel a bit uncomfortable or something. No problem, you can inform me and you can leave. But yeah, very important points that you raised, like, is aid in general, it's a blessing, or is it a curse for African countries, and the importance of to empower the youth. It's interesting in a sense that this week, I think in the beginning of this week or last week, I have been discussing with this lady who works for the UN. and she was telling me African countries really it's an alarming issue for Africa to let non-governmental organizations or in general the international humanitarian body to be present in African countries without any exit plan prepared by the state or the government. Otherwise, every year they come up with their plan with all those words, crisis, poverty, disease, name it, and then they will just prolong their presence in the country because it's very, very profitable for them to stay there. We can perhaps, if there are questions later on, we can discuss, and I have also some examples on that. But thank you very much for bringing that issue. So our next speaker is Brother Abdi Garat. He's a PhD candidate and teaching associate at the University of Birmingham, focusing on the state building and interventions using his own country, Somalia, as a case study. So while he studies this, so he uses theoretical framework of security, conflict resolution, and state building to discover whether the pervasive jihadist groups functioning in Somalia are a reverse causal outcome of the international and regional exertions and the war on terror. So tonight he will present to us geopolitical implication of the Horn of Africa, views of the world powers and options. So Brother Abdi, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mahalat. I am happy and pleased that I have been invited in your platform. I also would like to thank Sister Shamsa and Brother Ali coming and Brother Samuel Tavera. To start with, my name is Abdi Garat. I'm doing PhD just and concluding my doctoral research at the University of Birmingham, and I'm teaching there. I also have an experience and worked in Somalia for many years. Today, my topic is about geopolitical implication of the Horn of Africa and available options. And as Mehelet said, I am focusing Somalia as a case. I want to make a background of how the colonial history. Before I start, the colonial history was embedded by two factors. One, Africa was the best place where there was a workforce available, and two, there was best place to cultivate the land. So instead of exporting men to cultivate in the West, it was better suited to go to Africa and cultivate lands and cottons and whatever resource available out there. So there was a manpower and the raw material. In the same token, today there is a competition between the West and the East.
Sorry, Brother Abdi, sorry for the interruption, but there's a sound that comes from the background, like sometimes your voice go low. I just don't want it to be missed. Sometimes it gets high. So yeah.
I think someone else needs to be on mute.
Okay, it's you. Okay. So Brother Ali, maybe if you can mute yourself. Yes. Okay. And I'll also mute myself. All right. Sorry.
Thank you. So as I said, in the same token, Africa again become the breeding ground for the best place suited for the competition between the East and the West, as it is ripe for in respect to consumption, raw material, and available resources. So there's two channels now, and one of the China's Belt Initiative, which the main focus is that the Chinese and small traders to take their bags to Africa and sell. And the next initiative, the countering initiative, is 3BW, Bring Better World Back, which is owned by Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, UK, and the USA. But the aim of these concepts is to exploit Africa, and West Somalia is the gateway to Africa. And in the same token, again, going back to history, when Africa was balkanized and Somalia was subject to more fragmentation and balkanization, and in the same token, and same thing applies. So to do that, and the West, the 3BW agencies, wanted a kind of an agent who does the groundwork, and TPLF was doing it for the past years. And also, there was two levels. The upper level is is the donations, and as Shamsa said, the world the imbalance and unfair world trade, which today I had a coffee in the Starbucks, which I spent nearly $5, and it was said it was it was Ethiopian coffee. So I was contemplating how I paid $5 for one cup, how much for one sack of Ethiopian grain coffee had costed for them to so that kind of and simple and mathematical calculations shows the unfair existence of the world trade. So when that one is in place, and I want to draw on opportunities for Africa, and the opportunities for Africa and East Africa, Somalia and Horn of Africa in particular, Somalia and Kenya, Eritrea, Sudan, and Somalia, Ethiopia, Eritrea, and Sudan and Kenya, and even beyond, to come together and have a common vision and common market, and integrate the economics and policies so that they can face together, and both East and West. This is an opportunity. I cannot, as I'm not economist, I cannot exploit further how or model how that could be done. But this is the idea. The other opportunities is to take an advantage of, since the world is not anymore and unipolar, there's a bipolar world, and where the East and West are capable to compete, and they all want to be friends. So not to align in either one. So historically there was non-aligned countries, and to maneuver within the space in between, so that there will be an availability of bilateral agreements of one-to-one countries, instead of one sucking and slowing all over the region. And that two opportunities I draw it out. I want to stop there, but to sum it up, and the competition of the West, and which has so many pretexts and face covering, like human rights like environmental issues, has an embedded and a driver, which is bring back better world, and a better world, and that in the context, and in Somalia means TPLF to control it, and Tedros and Gabriel, that's few individuals that I can name it, to manipulate and expose in the expense of the Somalis and the benefit of the West, and the Somalis elites to become an agent and low level and agents and rent seeker to those agents. I think this is and there could be an opportunity where Africa can respect to each other, and especially in the Horn, and live together and understand that the interest of one sisterly country is the interest of all. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Abdi, really, for that. Indeed, yeah, that's the tool of the Western world to use us against each other, or to create a proxy war. And of course, to bring that the infamous war that we had between Ethiopia and Somalia from 2008, I think, till 2011, which is a shame. I'm speaking on my behalf.
2006.
From 2006? Oh, okay.
Boxing 2006 Boxing Day. The very unfortunate was to make a coincidence for Christian holiday when Somalia was captured, which was a Muslim country. So that itself was a sample of making the animosity very deeper.
Yeah, and so what they use is as a start, I think, if I remember good, the ICU, the Islamic Union Court or something, like, which they labeled as a jihadist. And so I was looking for how, whether the labeling of that group as a jihadist or not, as a jihadist was something that's created, or maybe later on you can reflect on it, because that is the lion they used for the Ethiopian soldiers to go and have a war with Somalia. But in any case, it's all a proxy war. But we have to speak it out and learn from it, and at least on the political level could always be different, but at least as a community, as a society, we need to create that platform to speak, to create awareness, and to create that bond also in terms of trade, as you mentioned, which is a good example. Then the community can, when there's a benefit that the community cannot compromise its own benefit, then it will be its own their own vanguard, not too late, not to go to war. I think it should be the long-term plan. So thank you very much, Brother Abdi, for that. Our next speaker is Dr. Ali Sheikh. You are with us? Why I see 4 of us only here? Are you with us? Oh, add to the stream. Okay. Dr. Ali, you are with us? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. All right, good. So Dr. Ali, he has a PhD from a doctoral school of military science from Budapest. And also he did his MBA in international business at Greenwich University. Currently, he is the founder and CEO of Aged and Children Pastoralists Association, known as ACPA. Tonight he will present to us contemporary trends and challenges of in the Horn. Dr. Ali, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Great pleasure meeting you. Am I enough audible? or
Yes,
still I
and
need to
officially, I didn't say welcome to you. Welcome.
That's
You are
okay.
not.
Actually, we had a blackout. Then I had to rush to nearby hotel, and I'm now in a hotel just to get the access because in our area they are using actually generator, which now you can hear it is on. And one correction, I just wanted an introduction. Not
Okay.
only that, I would have preferred to be called, still candidate. Since the blackout, I couldn't move out, and submit everything and present almost a year and a half. We are on stuck, do you see? And we
Okay.
cannot travel. And I have been studying in National University of Public Service, Hungary, Budapest. Yeah.
Okay.
But we also forgot my other masters in Addis Ababa University, which Dr. Samuel was my teacher also, my instructor. So
Yeah, that wasn't proper. I'm sorry. I apologize.
it's okay. I may not be speaking too much because when your instructor is online, you will have some kind of reservation, and I hope that will not going to interfere my
No,
other.
you have to, so that your instructor will know, how much knowledge you have acquired.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much, guys. It's a great pleasure meeting you, Shamsa, Abdigarat, everybody. Was great pleasure meeting you. As you have been told, my name is Ali Sheikh Ahmed, doctoral school of military science. Many people will be scared when they hear military science, which is normally learning on strategic tactics and intelligence. That's what we call it, military science. Anyway, my point
I did masters of it.
Yeah. Do I need
I
to
did
speak?
I did masters of military and science.
Doctoral School of Military Science. But when we say military science, hello, is the combination of strategic tactics and intelligence. So those three combined. So, and my discourse with you tonight is just to give you a brief overview of what I thought need to be discussed with the friends and or interested groups. The particular changes Horn of Africa is undergoing, particularly the last 3 years, which was when we say Horn of Africa, I want to use the broader sense of Horn of Africa, where we'll be including Sudan, South Sudan, most of the IGAD countries. There was dramatic changes that took place in the Horn of Africa since the last 3 years. Political changes in Ethiopia, power transfer, new blood, political changes in Sudan, new blood. There's also political foreign policy changes in some of the countries. Very good example in Ethiopia, where the actual countries like Eritrea, for that they had for a long time of no peace, no war kind of a relationship is solved once and for all. So all those kind of dynamics that's going on in Horn of Africa have had its own merits and demerits. For example, now we have seen that new alliances have emerged. For example, when Ethiopia and Eritrea come to the table and decided, to opt for peaceful resolution, new dynamics came out. New regional bloc is in the making in the Horn of Africa. So all that has got its own implications and also its own advantages. Then Somalia, almost now 8 months, if I'm not wrong, is in a political quagmire. That itself also, it has got its implication because it's part of also the new bloc formation. The fate of the new bloc formation, which is composed of Somalia, Ethiopia, and Eritrea, usually relies on Somalia. Who will come next as a president? Will that person be in the same mind with the previous team? That also has its own implications. So, Horn of Africa, changes have been going on, but what the good thing is that coming together and forming a new bloc, a new alliance, I thought is a step forward that is long overdue. You remember when we talk about Horn of Africa, political challenges, insecurity, basically it revolves around between Somalia, Ethiopia, and Eritrea. That kind of a triangle is where the biggest challenges emerged. in the past decades. If these three now new bloc formation, which is composed of Eritrea, Ethiopia, and Somalia, really that have shaken the politics, geopolitics in the Horn of Africa, I thought is a way forward to stabilize the region. We also have realized that big powers competition, rivalries are now, struggling over Horn of Africa, basically for three reasons. One, as we know that Horn of Africa, in broader sense, they call it analysts or specialists, the doyens of Horn of Africa as Nubian Shield. And most of the big powers competition now is mainly revolving on gold deposit, technological war, and also geopolitical dominance. These three are the forces causing big powers or attracting big powers rivalry over Horn of Africa. A very good example, if we see now Djibouti, we know that China, one of the now emerging power, dismantling unipolar power, has never had military outside of China. The first command that went out of China is now based in Djibouti. So too the USA. Djibouti being a small country, which is less than the New Jersey, those guys from UK, the New Jersey size less than, with a less than 1 million population, have got 5 global powers presence. And this has never happened right after the Cool War. It happens in 1984 in Afghanistan, where big powers were there competing. After the Cool War, we haven't seen that 5 big powers concentrating with a military presence in a small country. It was the first. Basically, Horn of Africa has got geopolitical interest. What bullies people is the geopolitical establishment of Horn of Africa. If you see now, Djibouti and Somalia and also Eritrea, they are literal states, basically the Red Sea, And then Djibouti faces the Yemen, the power model, nearly 2.6 million barrels of oil every day passes that route. Each big power want to now to see that goes home safe or destination safe. And the Red Sea also, which connects also the Suez Canal, has got its own challenges. Somalia, where there are big, regional powers and also global powers struggling over it, basically through on a personal relationship, is also a headache to the region. So I will say that the regions need some kind of collaboration, like the new bloc, in which now different actors will come together, like Ethiopia, Somalia, and Eritrea, then design a new strategy, a new foreign policy to direct Horn of Africa. We have seen now the power dominance race, the hegemonic race among the big powers. For example, the China, America, who thought that, oh no, we are very late because we let go Horn of Africa, and particularly Africa. They didn't have the proper policy. They didn't have, of late that they realized the influence of it, and then they wanted to catch up. And that also created the mess in Ethiopia, as you see now. They want to flex their powers forcibly without, like I'm a huge. China also is doing its own debt diplomacy. Djibouti will be I think the third country susceptible to debt diplomacy, China's debt diplomacy. Soon China will take over the boats and whatever. So now we need to sit down, analyze, and see these big powers, their merits and demerits. Then mark our strategies and see where our survival lies. We need to be very selective. But if we become circumstantial selective and we need today and then we rush and make partnership, I think the region won't go ahead, and we continue having the same problem. Look now, Ethiopia and Somalia, why should they have, what makes them to fight? At this time, people are coming together. And pastoralists now, look, the drought is terribly hitting Horn of Africa. It's becoming a vicious cycle in the last 2 decades. Pastoralists cannot move to the next country as a coping strategy if it has a better pasture and water for the animal. Just because of these borders restrictions, government policies before us, and then tariffs. Look now, they can't even trade. Ethiopia needs Somalia sea, and Somalia needs Ethiopian population to sell them. You see, this kind of coming together, I think, is the best plan for the region to go ahead. My worries is that now many of the countries in the Horn of Africa who felt that they were left out from this new bloc, regional bloc, imagine regional bloc, might also be very skeptical, and in the process might do their own, conspiracies to let these things fail. And we see it now, the Somali competition. Kenya, what they are doing, Djibouti, they are not happy because they said, why are we excluded from this? Because if these three new bloc materialize as expected, then the Djibouti will be marginalized because Ethiopia will no longer depend squarely, Djibouti for their inlet country, for transportation. It will diversify Ethiopia. It will go to Eritrea and Somalia. So that also will have a challenge, economic and political challenge. Somalia, there is a high possibility that if these three countries, because the crisis in Somalia, whether it is non-state actors we call Al-Shabaab, whatever, it was as a result of Ethiopia and Eritrea proxy war in Somalia. If they come together, I believe their influence, those actors, will go down with the time and then finally diminish. As a result, there is a hope that the Somali will come back into a full-fledged country, Yeah, I was a latecomer, so I may not continue beyond that point. Most of it, and you know it. Then you can ask me where you need to be, clear to. Hello?
Yeah, we hear you. No, thank you, Brother Ali. Since you said you did not submit your doctoral dissertation. No, but thank you very much. Interesting, yeah, to also point out that how it will be powerful for these countries to come together, and then all the challenges which they will be confronting, and they are confronting already. Maybe the way forward, how we have countries in the neighboring countries which, as you mentioned, are not happy, saying that we are marginalized, and also the bigger powers, how we can do without really compromising this cooperation, this alliance that is initiated and started. How can we go forward? But this maybe you can reflect on this later on. I will be happy to hear that. So our last speaker is Dr. Samuel Tafara. He's I don't see him here. He's okay. Maybe he went out and came back.
I'm there.
Okay, you are there. Good. Yeah. So it's your turn now, but before that, Dr. Samuel, he was here also last time during our first session. He always gives us a good reflection on what has been said, since he himself is an analyst on Horn of Africa. But just to say a few words about him, he got a PhD from Kyoto University, from the Graduate School of Asian and African Area Studies, particularly from African Area Division. He's an assistant professor currently at Addis Ababa University in the Department of Center for African and Asian Studies. He also worked as an advisor in different ministerial offices of the government of Ethiopia. He has a number of publications. But particularly today, he will reflect on what has been said so far by our speakers who spoke before him, and also, as equal as important, is he will share with us on expanding this network and how we can go for future collaboration. Dr. Samuel, back to you, or the floor is yours.
Hello, thank you, Mohamed. And also, I would like to thank all the presenters, and Ali, welcome to this interesting forum. Let me start with a bit of reflection on what my sister Shamsa Nishago was saying about the project that you've been engaged, the tree planting project is a very interesting initiative, right? As we speak now, the impacts from global climate change has increased has increased so, and they have covered huge territorial space. The impacts are seen everywhere. They are affecting lives of people, particularly in the Horn of Africa, where the majority of our populations dwell on livestock. Really, we have challenges from forage supply. We have challenges from rain. We have challenges from access to better irrigation water, and all those collectively are affecting the lives of our people. And this is where the majority of our resource base is, which contributes also greatly to the GDP of our nations, all in all. So such initiatives should be improved, I would say. And this also the kind of approach that you've utilized to collect funding from Somali, the diasporas in and outside of the country is also a very good initiative, because I believe that the very challenge, African challenge of our time in terms of widening our political spaces is a dependence on foreign aid and foreign funds to finance our own development projects at home. That's everywhere, like the African Union, be it the African Union, regional economic institutions, and the majority of civic society organizations and NGOs all operate with funds that originate from mostly from the West or the East. And those actually affect us in terms of limiting our powers to make decisions that are pertinent to meet the development challenge and address them appropriately at home. So this is a very wonderful initiative. I would like to congratulate you on that. And I think it can also be attached to the Green Legacy Initiative of Ethiopia, which is led by the Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed office, the PMO, and it also subscribes into this big initiative of the Great Green Wall initiative by the African Union that starts actually from the coast of Somalia, passing through Ethiopia, Sudan, Central African Republic, Cameroon, and goes to Senegal and Gambia. So this is an attempt not only to green our world, our countries, but also to create jobs from an engagement into the tree planting process. Also, in terms of its role, in terms of increasing our understanding of the change in climate and the kind of approaches that we need to take in order to devise adaptation strategies in that regard would also be very big. The Africa, as you know, is predominantly under a narrative that equals the continent with disease, death, and displacement. Conflicts have been so prevalent. Whatever is on the news line regarding Africa is always death, displacement, migration, rape, and all sorts of any kind of evils that we can enlist to our list. So in our attempt to fight all these evils, we need to engage ourselves on positive, peaceful, peace causes. And then those needs to be this kind of projects, and this kind of news should be also appearing on the news headlines and agendas of media networks in the West and at home. So it's a commending practice. And this presentation was also very interesting because it highlighted actually our challenge from rent-seeking behavior, particularly coming from statesmanship, and also the need to address such a behavior in terms of the increasing trade relationships between countries, particularly speaking of the Horn, between Horn of African countries, We have similar culture. We speak the same language. We have commonly shared values and cultural norms. And capitalizing on that would not be as such a big and a difficult task to embark on, because the Horn of Africa is, to me, a big neighborhood of people who are very much related one another in different ways, with the exception of the fact that they are divided by colonial boundaries. That's the only exception that we have, and that is very cognitive, right? So your example, particularly on the cup of coffee, the cost of a cup of coffee in where you are, is very interesting. With only an addition of $1, I think with the current price of coffee in Ethiopia, you can buy a kilogram of coffee in Addis, so that you can have as much cup of coffee as you can. So these are very interesting perspectives concerning our region, and are also the addition of allies on the geopolitical, the fight for the bigger space in our region, particularly by the superpowers, East and West, their competition, and also the quest for a geopolitical dominance is creating a lot of challenges, some of which cannot be easily addressed by our service, and also our failure to understand what will come as a result of these consequences in the future needs to be very much addressed. So he was highlighting on the weakness of the African Union and regional institutions, political and economic institutions such as IGAD, in terms of creating a very strong peace and security architecture to address those challenges. As you know, Africa still is not represented by a seat or a member in the United Nations Security Council, despite all the roles, and still uh, our decisions, issues, agendas about Africa that pertain very much to us are decided by countries who have been key members of the scrambling project since the Berlin Conference. So you can see the world has not changed so much when it comes to giving Africa sovereign space, wider space, where at least it can embark on agendas that pertain to the continent and its people. So, to me, we need to work very strongly on those. And this contemporary status quo of dominance by the West and the East should not continue. I think Africa, particularly the Horn of Africa, needs to make its own space to negotiate on terms that very much benefit its people and its government. So, to me, we need to fight as scholars to work strongly towards breaking out from fear, and also breaking out from ethnic and religious silos. Uh, whoever is in darkness, to me, cannot tell the magic a light can make. So we need to go out to the light, which is forums like this one. We need to share our ideas, our thoughts. We need to shape them. We need to guide them. So once we are in the same page, then we also look for ways and mechanisms uh, to bring in more people of such type to the light, so that they can debate and discuss on our differences and similarities, and hopefully that will lead to the situation where decision makers in the Horn of Africa and also in our individual member states look out for our proposals and suggestions to shape the way forward. So, to me, this kind of platforms, as I have been mentioning earlier, are very important, and we've been missing them now. We have been missing them for decades. Now we are in a situation where all our member states
Out of time. I ran out of time.
You're on mute, Mahalat.
Okay, no, the time is not because this is a StreamYard. It can allow us to go for hours. Dr. Samuel, probably power from his side. I don't know.
Got network problems. Yeah, that's why I was getting on and off. So maybe we'll catch up later.
Yeah, here it is again. Dr.
Yeah.
Samuel,
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Yeah, I was a bit disconnected. Okay, so I think this is a platform for us to share our thoughts with one another, and then also learn about what's happening actually in our individual countries. This needs to be encouraged. Last time we have tried to create a WhatsApp group that pertain to the Horn of Africa, where we can learn the progresses and the developments, positive and negative, from ourselves instead of looking at or looking for Western medias who often, as we have been saying it, distort stories, distort and misinform and disinform whatever is happening on from a different angle. So, speaking of also some interventions that Ali was mentioning last time, and Abdi was also throwing few words on that, like this. The rapprochement that we see currently between Ethiopia, Somalia, and Eritrea, and the potential positive consequences that came along with it. In the beginning, I think the fight against piracy and terrorism were pretexts which were used by the West to destroy our capabilities in the Horn of Africa, and then spread rumors and hatred, so that we cannot listen one another, so that we cannot stand for goals and purposes that we were supposed to be standing for to help advance our interests, the interests of our countries and the interests of our people. I am not completely disqualifying the objective of those missions by saying that there has not been any terrorist activities or there has not been any piracy issues along the Indian coast, particularly close to Somalia and the Red Sea coastal areas. But I think it was a bit of exaggeration and then used as a pretext to divide similar countries, to divide people in our region. And that have served the interests of some, but thanks to the new breed of leadership that Ali was mentioning earlier, following the coming into power of the new reformist government in Ethiopia particularly, we were able to witness positive developments between Eritrea and Somalia, and as brothers and sisters now we are standing together to fight for our rights, and we're proving actually them wrong that if fighting piracy and terrorism has actually been the main objective of these military missions that have taken place in Somalia, where everybody was contributing, and also actually later contributed to the hostilities between brothers and sisters. I mean, between amongst us. Why was not it possible to destroy the capabilities of those terrorists and the pirates until today? As we speak, it took almost more than a decade, right? Those interventions have been there for over 10 years, and yet we're still having problems from Al-Shabaab attacking civilian targets in Mogadishu, has been doing that in Kenya. So I think it is time that we need to wake up from our deeper sleep and try to forge a collaboration that would help us stand together to fight those evils. So one way of addressing those challenges is, I think, to organize ourselves into such a platform, create a big network of scholars and intellectuals where we can deliberate, we can put forward options for our policymakers, for academicians, for people who do research in these areas, and also we will be serving as gatekeepers to whoever is actually having an interest to make a study or a research or an investigation into our own territories. Like if as an Ethiopian, I'm interested in exploring more about Somalia, Eritrea, Djibouti, Ethiopia, Sudan, South Sudan, it would always be good if I can make a link with a focal person. And then I hope we will remain those gatekeepers so that more truths, more consensus can come out, and positive proposals would come out so that policymakers would pick them and then consume them to the best interest of our people and our countries. So I would like to use this opportunity actually to remind Mahalayat again to include our brothers here, Ali and Abdi, and also my sister Shamsa to join that network and expand it, and then continue all the deliberations visually and also on text on that particular platform. And I thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Samuel, for that reflection and putting kind of a guideline how we can expand this network. A quick question for you. I'm just thinking loud and practically. If, for example, the Horn of Africa, whether it's those three countries or the Greater Horn of Africa, want to pursue in this trade cooperation or integration, is there anything that we can use out of the African continental free trade area? How is that possible? Do they have to have one currency, or how will they do it? In a smaller scale without just using those big currencies in terms of localizing it just to the region. If you can reflect on that.
This is $100 million question. this is I don't know like how to react to this, but I think like in a situation where in the contemporary modern political systems, financial transactions and exchange trade relationships play a significant role in terms of shaping relations between countries, particularly power relations between countries. I think the Horn of Africa, particularly the Somali Nimonas or the Horn Nimonas, contributes much towards that. Like if you have been to these countries in the Horn, particularly where Somali communities are, transactions are not very difficult. Most people are cashless. They use digital and mobile applications to make transactions between one another. This is a big advance to me in terms of making trading much easier, doing business much easier. So we need to work on that particular issue. Like the issue of having a common currency is not an urgent issue for me at this stage. First, we need to improve and work more on cultural exchange, building trust between states, building trust between people. I think people-to-people relations, for various reasons, is so strong because of the collectively shared religious, cultural values, including language, and the sense of fraternity has been very strong despite all those challenges. Somalian refugees have been in Addis, particularly in Bole, Rwanda area, if you've been there, and they have been interacting well to the extent that you cannot tell. As a young man, when I was raised in Addis, I used to have some Somalians who've been there before they transit to England usually, and also the United States. So we lived. I have never, unless told when I grown big, I have no idea of whether these are guys, brothers and sisters from Somalia, or whether they're Ethiopians. So to that extent, even in times of good and bad contexts, we've been very strong brothers and sisters. And I think nurturing that culture of fraternity would be something that we need to be working strong. And second, because that translates into our political relationships between the countries at government and state levels, which is now good, and we need to fight to keep that momentum going. We need to work hard on that. So this people-to-people relationship will also be equally translated into state-to-state relationships, and this creates a sense of trust and between the states and between the people, and then dealing with the formal trading relationships, facilitating conditions so that Ethiopia, Somalia, Kenya, and all countries in the east would be linked with road infrastructures, energy infrastructures that enabled our collaboration and cooperation, and push them a step ahead of from where we are now, would be also very important to note. So the issue of currency, the issue of other political integration would be, I think, of a second thought. First, we need to work on what we have on our hearts and improve our relationships on that line, on that regard.
Thank you. Yeah, indeed. Yes, trusting that building that trust is important in cultural exchange. Usually, yeah, the first steps to bring people together. Then people, will own secure their own peace and their own. People will work for the togetherness of the region. I always think that, speaking of the Horn, that actually the Somalis are the more beneficiaries, having Somalis in Ethiopia and then in Somalia itself and then in Kenya. There will be great beneficiaries of such cooperation, in terms of, having that one language. So how do you think this will, add? I'm speaking to you, Brother Ali Sheikh. How do you think will this add, to that cooperation in harnessing cooperation of the Horn of Africa? You're muted.
Yeah, it's true that Somalis will benefit, but more so Ethiopia will benefit because Ethiopia needs diversification of, transport facilities. For example, getting to the world through sea is the big headache for Ethiopia generally. And not only that, also the Somalis, the Afars, who are also living in Eritrea and Ethiopia also, who are pastoralists, will going to have also, same like the Somalis, the options of diversifying the market. For example, if the pastoralists in Ethiopia found that their animal product or the livestock itself price is not favorable, is either in Ethiopia or in Eritrea, then they can freely move to Somalia, sell their animal there.
Mm-hmm.
Above all, also, it is a coping strategy, particularly for pastoralists, because droughts, as it comes back from time to time, then they will travel either Somalia or Eritrea or Ethiopia as a coping strategy to overcome the stresses of the drought. So, well, yeah, it benefits them, the Somalis. But one big thing above all that I think will going to be, on record will going to be serenity and stability, peace and serenity. In Somalia, they will have less opponent fighting over Somalia as a proxy war. Eritrea and Ethiopia were fighting, within Somalia. Now that will going to be no more. And then the parties allied to both sides will have to now diminish because they want to get the favorable environment they were getting earlier when there was not such kind of a collaboration. But my worries is that big challenges will going to come from ourselves, one. Secondly, also the existing regional bodies, for example, IGAD, will be feeling threatening. They see that this new bloc will going to take up your, influence and power. There is also another regional bloc, which is called East Africa Standing Force, which is based in Nairobi. That too will feel also threatened. Challenges will be more, but then it all, when we say, you know, challenges are there, it all depends the kind of a leadership will going to emerge from Somalia. Eritrea and Ethiopia, Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed, who initiated this cooperation, is already elected, and his guarantee for the coming 5 years is the legally elected Prime Minister. And Eritrean President, His Excellency Assessor Afwerki, is there for us. Now everybody's looking Somalia. Current President Somalia is in line, you know, with the Prime Minister Ethiopia ideas and also the Eritrea. But who will be the incoming? And then Somali politics is not predictable. It defies all kind of bold predictions. It might be at the 11th hour someone else will come, and then they have got what's called personalized, internationalized relationship. For example, Hassan Sheikh was voted by the United Emirates Arabs, and Formaggio. From the flip side, we say that he is aligned to Qatar. Who will come? We don't know now. You see, so it all depends on the Somalia's president election. If Formaggio continues, well and good. If another person, but on the same page with the Formaggio team and Ethiopia and the Eritrean team, that also the bloc will survive. So everybody will benefit. Most of the Somali entrepreneurs will also benefit. You could move. You know, Somali's entrepreneurs, they are a mobile society. They will have more opportunity. So to Afar. I'm over.
You're on
Can't
mute.
say that.
Always happens to me. But also we have to acknowledge that the Somali region in Ethiopia is actually the most peaceful region right now in the country. And, you know, thanks to President Mustafa, who really, you know, for his great leadership, who is also really loved and cherished, you know, by those who wants the country to keep as a unified Ethiopia. Is there any lessons that we can learn, you know, be it for Ethiopia or also extended to the Horn of Africa, that the other regions failed to do, and the Somali region in Ethiopia was able to do to keep that peace in the region? Because it was the most, you know, security was a problem in that region, you know.
Yeah, it's true. Security was a big issue. Above all, also, the most take-home experience we can say that for the last 3 years we got is that resilience to political challenges. You know, Ethiopia, we have shown generally as a country kind of a strong political resilience. Pressures of the West we understand, challenges of the media of the West, and you know, Rahtas mainstreams we would understand. So the kind of the resilience people have developed need to be lauded, honestly. And when it comes to Somali region, in fact, a good thing has been done, but that's not only Mustafa alone, because the challenges coming from originally rival groups or you know, secessionist fighters have, you know, kept down the guns, and instead they thought that they can now put their feelings and put pressure through the pen. So Mustafa was very lucky to see that the guerrilla fighters that was accustomed in the region for nearly 100 years decided now to take it other options, which is through the pen, struggle through the pen. So it helps him also that stabilize much of the region. And also intellectuals have came back, you know, in the beginning, maybe say that before the changes took place in Ethiopia in 2018, for one reason or another, much of the you know, intellectuals, the region actually literally suffered the brain drain, you know, most of the people now you see them in Western countries or neighboring countries have left the country for some either political reasons or other reasons, economic reasons. So all those now have came back to the country. They come back. They did not only come back physically, but they come back with also ideas and also experience. They have seen how other people live due to their exposure. That also contributed people now instead to come on the table rather than to go into the rural for gunning each other. So it was a good opportunity. And Somali region, as you said, is true. It's one of the most peaceful region in the whole country, if I may say. What else do you want I to add? I want mine to continue indifferently.
Sorry, the last one you said you might not continue. You say you're muted. You muted.
I say that I can continue indifferently as long as the time allows us.
Yeah, definitely, please. Yeah.
No, I want to hear also the rest of the team what they think.
No, I have question, also for others. But if you have something to add, because I was asking you at the end of your presentation before, what do you think the way forward? But I think you touched upon a little bit.
So I want to also to add develop another strategy to abase also other countries neighboring us, like Djibouti and Kenya, and I will have advised the new regional bloc to be very clear. People are suspicious, and then in their memorandum they say that we are cooperating to boost the economic and the political stability, but then Djibouti and Kenya seems they want more than that. To be told, they feel frightened, a bit threatened that Ethiopia is a rich country, it's a hegemonic country, it's a resource country because people are resources. It's like one of the second most populous country in Africa generally. So they feel threatened. Each one, Djibouti feels threatened because it will be interrupted their clients. Ethiopia depending on their port. It's a big challenge. It's an economic threat. So they need to be abased. They need to be very, to be approached in a very friendly way. And since East Africa also bloc is there since 1972, I don't see why they should be raising an negative eyebrow against this new bloc. They need to be told, clearly and transparently what is it about all this new regional bloc. So I will have said that His Excellency Prime Minister Abiy, Dr. Abiy Ahmed, His Excellency Sas Raki, and His Excellency Farmajo need to come clearly and meet them so that we can put their agendas and the manifesto in a very clear way that will lessen the suspicion of our leaders.
Okay. Thank you for that, Brother Ali Sheikh. Continuing from that, it looks like I'm coming from the last to the first. Did we lost Dr. Samuel? It looks like maybe he might come back. Okay. Yeah. Oh, we lost also Ali. That sense, Dr. Samuel is here now. For Brother Abdi. Continuing on what Ali said, you have said earlier, you have mentioned the rise and fall of one country is also the rise of Ethiopia should be considered as the rise of Somalia or any neighboring country, Eritrea or Kenya. Now that from what Ali said, having building those fears amongst these countries who are not part of this alliance, the new alliance, Horn of Africa, the Ethio-Somali Eritrea alliance. How can we build that trust? Actually, the empowerment of Ethiopia, the rise of Ethiopia should be considered as the rise of Djibouti or Kenya, or should we perceive it differently? Back to you, Abdi.
Thank you very much. And I think before I go to that, I would like to say something about what Brother Ali said. And I think impersonation to Somali leadership, and I think that that's wrong. And what the current president and any leadership of the upcoming, whether it's him or otherwise, will be serving for Somalia. However, I think, and it's not a surprise to me, that what Brother Ali have said was in reference to the history of what, and that was, and as I said, it was the role of Ethiopia, which was meddling Somali politics and servicing to the West, and in extension to that, the problem of Ethiopia and the West now, it's in the question of why Ethiopia is not doing what she has been doing, or why it's accepting bilateral relationship or a friendly neighboring atmosphere with Somalia, and not doing on our behalf and interfering. So that's why. And if that is not there, I think any leadership that comes to Somalia will serve the interest of Somalia, would also be the interest of the region. Equally so, ONLF, to put the gun down, was there is a light and under the tunnel, that the ONLF people, and there is a chance to be accepted in Ethiopia. Earlier, Ethiopian governments were only wanted and the land, not the people. And the Ethiopian, the Somali state, the people of the Somali state, which Ogaden and ONLF was representing, was fighting because of feeling of second-class citizen. So if that condition is removed, then the chance of putting the gun down comes from there. I think this two examples being posed was equally the behavior of the current Ethiopia, which will also, if that will be the case, will be reflective to the upcoming Somali leadership. This is what I think. Going back to your question, and how can we build the trust of the countries that's not in the bloc, such as Djibouti. I think Djibouti has an issue with Eritrea, which is a land dispute. That land dispute, and Djibouti finds in a better position and a stronger position than Somalia now, since Somalia is and the elite's political bickering and centripetal is fighting against centrifugal, and the center wants to gain more power, and the periphery wants to gain. So this has caused Somalia to be weak, and Eritrea. So instead of seeing this and Djibouti found Somalia as a weaker side. So without pointing the finger to not to Ethiopia or Eritrea, it's melding and Somalia, and that is reason and stuff. So I think if Djibouti understands the bilateral relationship strongly and not to meddle to one another, and then the issue that she has with Eritrea could be solved either by country to country or region as in a mutual respect. I think that could be a model. The other thing which can be the bloc can give assurance that Eritrea will not invade or furtherance, because there is a dispute of people on the land, and both sides make claims. So so this is a kind of and trust which can be built together, and I think this and the barriers and it's a miscalculation of individuals thinking and maybe the ability to trespass to others, and if also that one is removed, then the sanity will come back, and that is where I think and the rationality will be. In respect to South Sudan and Kenya and East Africa, and similar things apply. And East Africa is a bloc, very strong bloc. Uganda, Tanzania, and Ethiopia. That was early on and colonial era, but that does not exist now. So there was a thought that if the region is emerging from the other side, a bloc emerging from the other side, why not us? And blocks can be negotiated and formalized together in a shape of one way or the other. In respect to Sudan, Sudan is going and having its problems of ups and downs, and I don't see either but South Sudan or Sudan to have a difficult in partaking this bloc. That is my initial answer, and I will come back if I'm specifically being asked a question. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Abdi, for that. Sister Shamso, how are you holding up? You okay? Good?
I'm fine. I'm fine.
Good.
Just to tell the others, I have COVID and I'm isolated in my room.
We wish you a fast recovery, and yeah, thank you for being with us tonight.
Inshallah.
Yeah.
Inshallah, Allah yafiq.
Inshallah. We pray you quick recovery.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So, Sister Shamso, coming back to you, if you can reflect, earlier today you shared with me, a picture of a Somali farmer, who couldn't sell his product or what he maize, to be precise, because there is a lot of aid that has been imported and distributed, so there's no one now to buy from him. If you can just, I will share that once I add all of you to this WhatsApp, like a kind of think tank group on WhatsApp, and then I will share the picture what Sister Shamso shared with me. If you can reflect on that, and specifically, how do you think the youth can be empowered in this region? I read this earlier. There was a new ambassador for the African Continental Free Trade Area. I think I will share it as an information where they are. It's based. She's based in Kenya, in Nairobi, and it's the institution. I forgot its name, but they are going to give a training for the Horn of Africa. Particularly to women traders, how they can use out of the African Free Continental Free Trade Area. As you know, yesterday the FCFTA has launched a paying system. I did not participate the whole session, but they are kind of moving forward. So two questions. If you reflect on that, on the farmer, and then how particularly you think how we can empower the youth right now using the resources that we have.
Thank you, Mehlet. The picture Mehlet is talking about was a picture sent to me last year, June last year to be exact, And it was one of our volunteers that was on the market in Mogadishu. He saw an old man who has been sitting in the sun trying to sell his harvest. It was maize. And he was sitting there the whole day and no one bought nothing from him. And the man was sitting and crying. And the reason no one was buying anything from him, it was because 2 days prior to the harvest, as I said earlier, there were a lot of free aid, maize and different crops coming to the country, people getting it for free. So that was for me a picture of the aid dependency, also a picture of incapacitating people to be productive. That man, he has been working hard trying to produce something so he can get some benefit. And when he reached the end of his goal, trying to get the fruits of all his struggle and hard work, the truth was nobody was there to buy from him. So it is. I was thinking, I was reflecting it for myself because the picture had huge impact on me, and I was thinking, what has been going on in my country for the last 30 years? NGOs uncontrolled coming in and out. They used to have their own airport in Mogadishu. I found out recently, without control. Nobody knows what they are importing in the country, what they are exporting. We have been hearing a lot of research soil that was exported from the country. Nobody knows where it went, who was responsible. So Somalia has been a country that has been taken advantage of for so long, for so long. And now we are seeing the product that our farmers, they left their farms because they cannot make money because of this aid that's coming. So what I was thinking in form of that we have to be, the United Nations and the NGOs have to be credible and accountable. We cannot have aid with no limitation of duration of time. The aid that is effective is aid that have a deadline. Like, let's say we are aiding you with this and it's going to be in 5 years. After that, we will go give you technical help, vocational training, so that you can produce your own things. But if the help is coming and coming and coming and coming, and there is no transparency what's coming, there is no duration, there is no accountability, it's affecting badly on the production of that country. It makes our youth dependent. Another example was in June last year, when we were starting our nursery in Somalia, we were attacked with, there were this huge locust attack, and we wanted to get voluntary youth to come and help us one of the days. But we were told all the youth were like in groups, going to meetings, getting $20 from the UN or those international organizations, so that you cannot even, it's difficult for the youth, for us to employ somebody because they are getting free money, money that makes it not dependent, but dependent actually, because if you get everything like given to you, you are not working hard, you are not having a work mentality. So my thing is, us, even though we are very grateful for all the help that we have gotten through the years when Somalia was badly injured and still are, is this help is like a knife with two swords. It can be good, but it can also be bad. And now in Somalia case, we can see how aid can destroy a country mentally. The youth that are not willing to work because they are getting everything served, the vocational training is not empowered. So I hope with this, Brother Ali was eloquently speaking about, as well as Brother Abdi and Samuel's analysis. What we need is also to answer your second question, Mielet, what we need is we people of the Horn to get together as we are doing here, talking to each other, listening to each other, finding our own solutions. Because for so long, others have told us what to do, where to look, which way to go. But now everybody has an iPhone. We are digitalized. Youth, it's easy to get in touch with each other. We are sitting different countries, but we are speaking with each other right now. So that, I mean, if we have the will, if we have the will to go and move forward, to work together, I think our leadership, we listen to the people, but we have to make our people empowered. We have to talk about these things, talk. They will listen. We will all listen to each other. And that is one way of empowering each other, belonging to each other, not seeing each other as enemies, because we are one, whether we want it or not. We are next to each other. If Ethiopia, God forbid it, something happens to Ethiopia, where do Ethiopians go? They will go to Somalia, to Sudan, to Djibouti, to Kenya. So we have to make our own home, a home for our kids, to get hope, to get education, where they can think of competing with other people, other countries. We have to think of the future of our children. Our future, we have the opportunity, we have the means, we have the technical advancement. It's cheap. You have WhatsApp. We can start groups. We have to create hope. We have to create our own narrative. We have to say enough is enough, because if we don't say it, nobody will say it for us. And at the end of the day, everything comes down to power and resources. We have to claim our power and our resources. That's the most important thing. I have one example that I have been thinking about in Somalia at the moment, is that all these international community that are claiming to help our country are really, really and bluntly destabilizing our country. We have ambassadors who think they are like the rulers of Somalia. They can threaten, they can write whatever they like online to spread hate, to spread malicious threats. If you don't do this, we will do this. They treat us as if we are like second-class citizens in our own country. I've never heard of ambassador. An ambassador's capacity is diplomatic. It's not an ambassador's capacity to go and meddle in another country's diplomatic and internal affairs, as the ambassador of the United Kingdom is doing in Somalia. And she's doing it widely, and she's not even shying about it. And that is really demoralizing, to see them come to Somalia and behave like a colonial masters, telling Somali people and Somali leaders what they want to tell. And I can understand, as Brother Ali said, this alliance that is forged now is very fragile. And I myself is worried, what happens if Farmaajo is not there? Who is going to come, and is this alliance be able to continue? And whether it continues or not from Somalia's side, I hope Ethiopia and Eritrea and the people of Ethiopia and Eritrea will come and help us, because Somalia have been out there badly beaten for a long time, and we need the support of our brothers and sisters in the neighboring country. We need this voice to be heard as one. We need to say no more, so that we can help each other. Thank you. That's what I have to say. And the youth is like, it's empowerment, owning our history, owning our future, owning our resources. That is the most essential thing. And also choosing our alliances. We want to work together carefully. We don't have to be dependent of the old alliances. There are other countries developing and have powerful in the world. India, Turkey, China, Russia. We have to look other means, other ways also. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Sister Shamsa. Really, yeah. Touching to your last point, today actually there was this tweet going viral from the Bureau of African Affairs of the State, Assistant Secretary of State Affairs, which says Somalia's elections are more than a year behind schedule. The U.S. is prepared to take measures against the spoilers if the new National Consultative Council timeline is not met. So as we speak, also such things are going as if this is their own territory.
But Mehlet is, this kind of tweets, they seem to be like coordinated. It's this and that and the other one, and Sweden and Norway, everybody, they like, maybe I'm thinking they are sitting together and they say, why, okay, let's produce the tweets again. Those tweets are actually making us, instead it is terrorizing us, because what we need is peace. We don't need ambassadors from other countries terrorizing us every day, telling our people and our leaders what to do. We can tell our people what to do. Just give us some peace to do it, because you are in there in our faces all the time. Enough is enough.
Yeah, I hear you. No, I hear you loud and clear. We have to, amplify the voice of one another and say enough is enough, as you said. That I think we can do. We have seen for the past 1 year how Ethiopia went through just in front of the eyes, the war on the ground and the war on media, both for the past, 14 months so far. So, and I think it has an effect. Yeah, it has a positive effect by amplifying that.
Can I jump in too?
So what I have been doing is, so from the I started with Shamso, so when I come back with asking question, I started from the last and came to the first. So now with this you can come in, but as you come in also, to keep our time, also bring you can say your conclusion, your final words.
Thank you very much. I actually like the way we approach our discussions, and despite that we are talking different fields, it's seemingly now converging onto one end, all of us, which I appreciate. But the most important thing I would like to respond to Brother Abdulgrad on his comment. It's good that you take me right. My question or my focus over the discourse was, what might be the challenge? I did not, characterize the leaders or maybe with impunity. No, I'm just saying that for any country's foreign policy, the driver is the president. As we see now, for the case of Somalia, we are expecting the election, and who is who, it depends whether he will going to be somebody pro, on the ideas, or will be for against of the ideas. So that will have implication too. Secondly, also, I said that I did not say characterizing them negatively, but this is what is in the domain of the literatures in the world. Personally, I will share with you two of the academic research I have done. Ethiopia, I talked deeply with when it comes to the region, how the past policies view the region, Somali region. I also talked for Macho, his relationship with Ethiopia. In fact, it was a research specific to him upon his election, which was, I think, a year after, 2 years after his election, questioning that what will going to be. I even criticized this new bloc. That was right after the Prime Minister of Ethiopia went to Somalia and came back. It was one of the scientific research, which is already, I will be sharing with you the link through WhatsApp. So I am pro of this idea. I'm supporting actually the idea of the new bloc. But then, as an intellectuals of our discourse, we need to look not the existing opportunities. What might be the likelihood challenges? This is what I'm telling that any one of us can focus. True, as a Somali, I think you cannot be more Somali than I do. We have the same culture, the same geography, the same, religion, the same lineage. We know it, but we may have a different view. You might view on one angle, and then I will be viewing the other one. All I want to say that it is true. We defy all possible, and conventional prediction of Somali politics. It's true that that during Farmajo's election, few people were expecting him to come, but all of a sudden things may change, and then he become the winner. Good. I am not criticizing any one of them in terms of their development success. No. What I'm talking is that to materialize this new idea, which is born recently, we need now, since the other two countries are on board, the same people who pioneered the idea are still around. Somalia, what will going to be? And we know that the stakeholders in Somalia politics. If you don't, if you don't deny it explicitly, we know that who is there and who is supporting them. My hopes is not about the politics in particular. My hopes is how to make sure that our new bloc, go ahead and materialize to the expectation, not to harm anyone, but to contribute, positively. Somali region, the on left, they kept the gun. That's a new thinking. I am not saying that they kept the gun just because it was this and that. No, I'm not talking of the circumstantial factors that drive them to take the gun. That's one thing itself. Secondly, also, I'm not talking about why they kept it, but as at now, it cannot only be contributed to Mustafa's establishment. Precisely, my argument was that okay, the other stakeholders, probably because of experience, probably they say that, oh yeah, we need to now change our thinking. In this world, politics is out of possibility. That's what they say. Actually, theorists, they say that it's out of possibility. Maybe we don't know next 2 months what will happen. They will take the gun. We don't know. But as at now, since on left is not now making a physical fight there, their dissatisfaction and dissatisfaction is something else. But the major thing that contributed the stability of Somali region is the rebels now taking another path. I am not saying that decision was bad or good, but I know it has contributed regional stability. My brother, if you may understand my argument, but generally what I'm talking is that I want honestly, and I'm pro the idea of the new regional bloc, which they call Horn of Africa Cooperation Bloc. And I know the challenges. I've been in the discourse. We are in Addis Ababa meeting every forums, how you, and when I go to the AU, especially, and representative of our regions, especially those who are neighboring us within IGAD, they feel it, skeptical so much. When I sit with politicians also and academics, they show some kind of reservation. That's why I say that they are our neighbors. We need them. And unfortunately, policy we focused in Africa is a realist policy, where that your brother on the border on the other side is always an enemy. And that's why much of our budget goes to the weapon purchase, and every year we ban them without telling anyone. You see, it's a realist kind of policies. But we want market-led policy, liberal policy, market-led policy, where people can interact and then they don't see each other enemy. The business must connect them rather than the bullet. That's what I'm proposing. And at one time, if we continue such kind of a productive argument, my assumption is that many of us will be actualized. Now, self-actualization on the reality on the ground is what actually keeping us behind. And then we take the narrative of others who are aligned to our culture and also our geographical fabric. So my hopes are that as we continue such productive discussion, Brother Abdigrad, I appreciate your pertinent remarks, but just wanted to explain more on my view. I'm not saying that I'm heretical of your opinions. No, it's just to tell you that my thinking was that way, not specifically for one person. Over to you.
Thank you, Brother Ali. I would assume you have said your final words. Anything, the last message? Yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to clear, sometimes when we discuss, many of us, we may not understand what is behind us, what makes us to think in this way. My thinking generally, And I'm hopeful that maybe even those who are coming in Somalia next to be elected, whoever will going to be attracted. Because I know there was a lot of opposition during this, when this kind of memorandum was signed. I was in Addis Ababa. Many of the intellectuals and politicians in Somalia really, went against the idea. That's what I knew, and I was part of them. Then that's why I'm saying that who is who? If someone else comes, who will be the driver of foreign policy of Somalia, who is not, for the idea, might also impose some challenges that are going to hamper the success of the cooperation. That's what I say. But I hope that whoever comes will going to mine, the positive contribution of Somalia and the entire region. I am over.
Okay. Thank you. So yeah, with that said, we can go to Brother Abdi for his reflection on this and his final words. Yeah.
Thank you, Mahalet. Thank you, Brother Ali. I appreciate that you came back and make some clarifications. However, you said the X and Y, and I don't have a lot of problem in agreeing with you about that. But you missed the antecedent condition. The condition that you missed to, and I believe you also acknowledge, is the role of Ethiopia, not the Ethiopian of today, the role of Ethiopia in respect to why this kind of behavior. And that I think contributes two things. One, why the West is mad on both Ethiopia and Somalia, because that kind of Ethiopia is not it's not there anymore, and the current Ethiopia are not willing to do that dirty job. That's one. And I think that condition, that incident condition, is vital. And other things, the X and Y, I don't agree with. I don't have problem with you. So that is the condition. As you said, I appreciate that you will share your works and research, and I will share mine as well. Mine mainly focuses on interventions. And more interventions about and Somalia as a case. And secondly, I do not see because the politicians and the voices you heard, that was a partisan politics voice. But in reality, when anyone comes to the office and any government that comes to Somalia will realize that the importance of the region, the importance of Djibouti and Ethiopia and Kenya and all that. So, and there's no history in modern Somalia that breaking the pacts. So I don't see if that, but to make a political opposition point, and they never said why this is bad to us, but they said it's only Ethiopia saying. If you go back to those discourses, was why our government did not share this information. Why this? What will be the so why all the stories are not being told? So the question was more lenient than the way that the Somalis were against, but it was more clarity and asking more clarity, and any rational leadership that comes to Somalia will respect and that. And had the early Ethiopians not there and interfering and doing whatever they have been doing, and like they have been doing, and this is what I think. In my closing remark, I want to reiterate that Horn of Africa, the curse is where they are and what they have, and as a brother and said, and the Bab el Mandeb and Indian Ocean and Red Sea and all this is a route for international trade, and millions of trades pass every day, and that is why it has a history that any superpower ever came has invaded this region and or also involved it, and the problem still lies there. So my message today is, while we are have these mechanisms and tools and we can talk to one another, then the similar problems should not come back. And so as Dr. Samu said, that our trust and the regional trust is to be built, and also to maneuver and within the non-unipolar world now, and so that and benefit out of it, but not give in to either west or east side, or so that become subject to either the Chinese debts or Western colonialization. So this is my message. Thank you.
Okay.
Ali can retort again.
Say it. Maybe Shamsa will going to have a different. It's true, yeah. And all I see, that's why I in the beginning say that the leaders now of the new bloc must come out clearly and say explicitly that ABCD is their manifesto. That's why the Somali Abro was coming, simply because many of them were doubting and seeing it as a dubious kind of a agreement, selling out Somali Sea or whatever. This was resulted because of no clarity of the manifesto. That's why I'm saying that even our neighboring countries who are skeptical and very doubtful the role that the foreign cooperation will to play, it needs to be clear. Have what they call it meetings, conferences, calling stakeholders across the Horn of Africa, telling them that okay, this is our vision. We are not, because much of the crisis people talk or we experience in Horn of Africa took place either in Somalia, Ethiopia, or Eritrea, Ethiopia. Yeah, it's true. The relationship between Djibouti and Eritrea, this cooperation has done also a step forward, because foreign ministers of Ethiopia, Somalia, and Eritrea and Djibouti met in Eritrea and discussed how to solve this, and they have gone to a very big step ahead than any other international stakeholders will have done. So it's like localizing our issues, saying that okay, the problem was to us, and it was from us. Then we want to say goodbye. Then that's why I say that let the current leaders come out clearly and explain that what is the agenda of their own cooperation, what they want to go, whether it's not to clearly tell them that oh well, it's not affecting you, rather it contributes you more. I said in the beginning that they need to be very transparent, and I am sure if that happens, Somali will have a time now to come back into its original Somali and take the role they used to play in the country, in the region, and also in the world. The issue, as we discussed, was as a result of their Ethiopia and Eritrea, each one supporting another group, coming this. That was actually, it was a battlefield, honestly. If we look at the literatures in the world, researches, all this, now that has reduced. It is clearly now, if you see it, even the United States actors, they have now less frequent attack as it used to be before, because now Ethiopia is getting hands off from Somalia. So, like you said, now we need to take advantage of those resources, like being located in the most strategic position in the continent. We need to come out, and then the leaders also need to come out and clearly tell us that okay, nothing hidden agenda. This is exactly what we want, and that will make all those who are in doubt to come on board. Otherwise, I wish it to go through. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Brother Ali. So that would bring us, unless Sister Shamso, do you have any final word?
I just wanted to be added on that WhatsApp group Dr. Ali was talking about.
Sorry?
The WhatsApp groups that Dr. Ali was talking about. If you can add me to that one.
Yeah,
also.
exactly. So I was going to say that I will add you all. I hope it's okay by you. If not, you can reject it as well. But it will help us.
To be
it will help us to continue this kind of discussion. And this is why I feel it's one of the things has been achieved with all our differences. One of the achievements, one of the objective of this platform is achieved because with all our differences, we still can talk to each other and listen to each other. And we have to cultivate that for the sake of our own people and for the sake of the next generation, that it is possible. We can have differences, but also we can listen and talk to each other. And there has been, Madam Jawahiri in the first session was sharing with us with all that traditional conflict resolution systems, how the Somalis are, have that resource, the traditional conflict resolution system, without all these international people meddling into their affairs. And this is also why we are here, to hear it from us, not from the international media, to hear it from our brothers and sisters of Somalis in Somalia or in the diaspora. And we will continue, and also we will include, the Somalis who live in Kenya and also other places to share. We will continue doing this. And thank you very much. If I didn't forget anything, I think that was it. We will continue.
I just wanted to tell you, Mehlet, that what you are doing is actually a breath of fresh air. We needed it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. No, it's a pleasure. We have to do that. Yeah, I always say it's like kind of my ritual. It has been now my ritual at the end. Please, let's invest on the youth. Let's invest on the children. Let's tell them that, that the Somalis in Somalia or anywhere are your brothers and sisters, or also any African. Let's nurture that kind of thinking into our children. I have my son here living in the Netherlands, and he have a friend from Somali, from Eritrea, and all in the same age group. So to teach them their history and to teach them we all are one, and to support them, whatever problems they have, even on that age, is actually, I always say, if we invest on the youth and on the children, in 20 years or in the next 3 decades, Africa will just be fine by itself. If we bring just that positive, we don't need anyone. Otherwise, we will, if we are dealing always with adults, we find ourselves in this vicious circle of, there's a certain thought that we have been brought up. For example, for the past 3 decades, we have been into this tribalism, and people in Oromia or anywhere have been taught we have like kind of small states in one country, and people are not open. So it's now hard when we say, or when there is a leader who is working for the unity of the country, because we have that burden that we brought up with us. So let's invest on the children. So this always has been my conclusion. And thank you very much for being here, for your time. And we will continue. I feel blessed. I'm so happy to have you here. Yeah.
Thank you. Wish you the best. Yeah, that was a great one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ali. Thank you, Mehlet. Shamso.
Thank you, brother. Shamso Shego, Mehlet, and
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye. Okay, we're going off now. Bye.
All right. Bye now.